You wouldn't understand, my mom said. It's not that simple. The rest of the evening was a blur. I couldn't stop thinking about Jamie, a 10-year-old boy abandoned by his mother and dismissed by the very people who should have been there for him. And here they were, lecturing me about responsibility and family values. When I got home that night, I couldn't let it go. I started digging, trying to find out what I could about Jamie. It didn't take long to find some information. He'd been in the system for a while, bouncing between homes. The more I read, the angrier I got. How could my family just pretend he didn't exist? How could they sit around, judging me, while turning their backs on a child who needed them? The next morning, I called a social worker to ask about Jamie's situation. It wasn't a decision I made lightly. I knew it was going to be complicated and messy, but I couldn't stand the idea of him being forgotten. If my family wouldn't step up, then maybe I could. This wasn't about proving anything to anyone. It wasn't about silencing their judgment or making myself feel better. It was about Jamie, a kid who deserved more than the hand he'd been dealt, and I wasn't going to let him slip through the cracks. Update 1. I spent the next day making calls, trying to figure out how to meet Jamie. The social worker I spoke with told me Jamie had been in foster care for a few years. He'd been shuffled between homes, and apparently he had what they referred to as behavioral issues. When I asked what that meant, she mentioned difficulty adjusting, acting out, and struggling in school. It didn't surprise me. How could a kid go through what he had and not have some scars? The social worker was cautious about letting me visit him. She explained that Jamie had trust issues, and meeting new people could be overwhelming for him. But after hearing that I was a family member, though barely a blip in Jamie's life, she agreed to arrange a supervised visit. She warned me to manage my expectations. A week later, I showed up at the foster care center for the meeting. My palms were sweaty, and I kept adjusting my bag strap. I wasn't sure what I was walking into. The social worker led me to a small room with mismatched furniture and bright, peeling paint. Jamie was sitting at a table, drawing on a piece of paper. His hair was shaggy, and he looked much smaller than I expected for a 10-year-old. He didn't look up when I walked in. I sat across from him, unsure of what to say. The social worker introduced me and said I was his aunt. Jamie glanced at me briefly, then went back to his drawing. His shoulders were hunched, and he gripped the pencil tightly. I didn't want to push him, so I just commented on his drawing. He was sketching a robot, detailed and precise. When I complimented it, he mumbled a quick thanks but didn't stop working. The first meeting was quiet and awkward, but I felt a pull toward him. I couldn't explain it. He didn't trust me. Why would he? But I knew I wanted to come back. When I told my family about the visit, it went about as well as you'd expect. My mom rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic. My dad scoffed and said I was playing hero. My cousins laughed and joked about how I was going to regret it. It stung, but it didn't matter. I wasn't doing this for them. Over the next few weeks, I visited Jamie a few more times. He was always cautious, but he started to open up. I brought him a sketchbook on one visit, and his face lit up for the first time. He loved to draw robots, spaceships, and superheroes. He was good at it too. I asked him about his favorite movies, and he rattled off a list of animated ones. I made a mental note to watch them later so I'd have something to talk to him about. Bit by bit, he started sharing small pieces of his life. He told me about his mom, how she used to sing to him when he was little, how she smelled like strawberries, and how she stopped showing up when he needed her most. It was heartbreaking to hear, but I didn't interrupt. I let him talk.